And we are back with another episode of the Real Podcast of Dallas, the only drug-free podcast in the world, the only podcast dedicated to positivity, a podcast that is made for everyone, young, old, tall, short. We'll take you anyway, anyhow. Yes. And of course, we have our wonderful hosts, Cindy and Maria. How are y'all?
We are good. I am good.
Yes.
How are you, Maria?
I am good too. So happy to be back in another episode of the Real Podcast of Dallas.
Yes. I know it's been a little while. Things change. We talked about it before we got on the air, the changes that happened. But they're good changes, and we've been going through a lot of changes, Cindy.
Yes.
Yes. A lot, big changes, but they're good. They're good. And yeah,
Well, spring's about new growth.
Yes.
There's been new growth.
Yes. So everybody's doing well, and I'm glad. And I missed you guys so much. A lot to catch up on. But Maria, how can they catch this wonderful podcast?
So the easiest way to access our podcast is just Google the Real Podcast of Dallas, and that will give you the links to all our different platforms. I think the most easiest one to access is the one through Facebook. And if you access the one through Facebook, you will be able to access each and every episode that we've recorded.
Yes.
Up to now.
And this is number 76.
Yeah,
Our
oh my goodness.
76th episode. Yes. And I'm glad we slowed down a little bit because I've got to contact them at Griner, because at 100, I'd like to go back and have them back on and maybe do the 100th episode down there. So,
Wow.
yes, I'm still in area 51 and a half. And
Yes.
I miss you guys, and I figured this episode we could talk about peer pressure.
Yeah.
Who
Who likes peer pressure? No.
No one likes it. No one likes it, and this is a show for everyone, because we've talked about this many times, how adults get peer pressure.
That's right.
Yes, we get peer pressure. Sometimes people will bully us as adults. So,
Yes.
so tell
That's
us.
the truth.
Yeah. So, let's see. You guys can't hear the music still, so I'm gonna.
No, I can't hear the music.
I know we're gonna work.
I
on
can't hear it either.
I'm still trying to work on that.
I miss music.
Yes. But before we start with peer pressure, what's going on in what's new in the area of prevention and drugs and in the Dallas area?
Do you want to answer that, Maria? 'Cause
I'm sorry.
curious what you would say.
What's
I would say that what's new is that mental health is a big deal.
okay?
Mental health is a real big deal right now, and
It really is.
everybody is needing mental health care, and those are the people that are healthy
Right.
and didn't know they had mental health issues.
Right.
And the kids, we all need good mental health care.
Okay. You think that's partly because of COVID, of the isolation?
Well, I've been reading a lot about the fact that it was already there, and
Right.
COVID just kind of enhanced it or brought it to the forefront.
Right.
Because it does feel like we're past COVID, even though they said there's a new variant
Right.
on the way. It feels like we've, moved past it, but it's still, things are different now.
Okay. So it's mental health then. That's a weird.
Yeah.
Which it's always been about mental health. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we did this podcast is to talk about mental health issues in a light way, but for everyone.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing, Maria?
I mean, it's the same thing. There's, mental health is so important, and I think, that we're still not giving it the right attention, especially to our youth. Our youth really needs, mental health. And like you say, it's not just you. As grown-ups, as adults, we need it. Where I'm at, unfortunately, I'm continuing to see a lot of drug use. I'm continuing to see a lot of students who are suffering from, having to be back in school. Like they're still, they still wish they were at home, or they're still trying to make it seem like, it's still last year for some reason. They think that this year they'll be able to get away with everything that they got away with last year. And in reality, the school is trying to enforce more attendance and, better grades, and trying to help these students advance to another grade level the right way, by being there, by being present, by showing that, that they have all of these capabilities. And the kids are just not ready yet, to be honest. They got too comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's trying to go back to the normal when they're not ready to go back to normal.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk about peer pressure, but I guess this is kind of, it's a little different because it's like I said it before, it's like a clean slate with COVID. When COVID hit, everything was at a neutral ground. Now we're trying to get back to normal. But what is the normal? Where do we start? How do we get back to going to school like we were, going to work like we were? There's a lot of jobs now that are online.
There are. And that's the other thing. If you're in the workforce, and you liked being remote and you don't want to go back in person. Right. Or a lot of people have left their jobs for higher paying jobs.
Right.
And then they're finding out that the grass isn't necessarily greener.
Right.
True. So there's a lot of change and reset going on.
Yes.
It's a big thing. And I think, the kids not wanting to go back speaks to the fact that so many kids don't enjoy school.
Right.
And school has its own peer pressure and, pressures in general.
Right. Yeah. Traditionally peer pressure was drugs, the pressure to use drugs, the pressure to skip school, the pressure to do negative things. But now with the change, some of the pressure is I think it's with families. Families are feeling a lot of pressure now. And the peers can be other parents, other family members. In the work that I'm doing, I can tell you just a little bit, where you see large communities being affected by it. I mean, where you're changing the landscape of a country,
right.
And we're going to see the impact on that later. I've always thought that we were ahead of the game with what we talk about. And, I think that if you listen to this podcast, even 3 years from now, you're going to see what we're talking about. Because there's something that's going to happen. And I can tell you guys, because you kind of see it, but what we're about to see is an influx of a different type of behavior that I don't think we're ready for. We're going to see something that's going to maybe put us on lockdown again.
Who's to know what's to come?
There's going to be some big changes, especially and a lot of the youth that are coming. there are some severe mental health issues. So, our job is not over. And again, I'm going to stress the podcast because, I like to promote it, but this venue is going to be really huge because no one's talking about it the way we are, in the sense where we're bringing it down to a level where we can talk to the kids about it, talk to parents about it. We are professionals, but we bring it an angle of what do you call it? Layman. That's what the word they use. So we're talking about peer pressure. One of the things I want to start off with, though, is mental health. You have to ground yourself with eating 3 meals a day and sleep. You've got to have sleep.
Yes, sleep is imperative.
Yeah, I'm seeing that less and less and less. And Cindy, I don't know. I mean, do you guys, are they stressing that when they talk about mental health? I know we have, but are people stressing that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I never hear that, or how to foster good sleep habits. And
right.
I mean, I have to be honest and say that I don't have good sleep habits. It's time. You always feel like you need more time, and so you sacrifice sleep. But it does affect your mental health. It does affect your physical health. And I've not heard anybody stress good sleep habits.
Yeah.
And then you have to think about the environment that you're in. Is it conducive to good sleep habits?
Right.
If you're in a chaotic home,
yes,
that can be hard to foster.
Yes. What do you think, Maria? Have you heard that?
I think it's very unfortunate, to be honest with you, because like talking to students all the time when I see them and they come into my room or whatever, you see them tired.
Right.
You see that they have not been sleeping well, and sometimes I'll ask, at what time did you go to sleep last night? And a lot of times, to be honest with you, that's probably like one of my first questions.
Right.
My questions are usually, at what time did you go to sleep last night? And then, have you ate breakfast?
Right.
Because a lot of times those are the two things that, that they're not doing. They're not eating a healthy breakfast. They're not going to bed at a time that's going to allow them to get a full night's rest. And so when they come to school, they don't have the ability to function. I mean, if you don't get good night rest, it interferes with making the best choices possible. Right.
Yeah, and I don't see that. That's never very few people, but I've. It's almost rare to hear that, and people look at you like there's something wrong with you when you mention that. Sleep, and meals. But the interesting thing is that, once that's taken care of, you're actually able to get grounded and then move forward. The unfortunate thing is that families now are doing with less sleep, less time for meals, and it's the younger kids that are really suffering from that. I think adults can kind of handle it, but not really. I mean, I don't know. I think we're cheating ourselves.
Well, there's a lot of stress and anxiety, and if you're carrying those things, that interferes with your sleep as well.
Right.
So it's a big, vortex of